Last year, you made a powerful statement saying the reason people are watching women's basketball is not just because of one player, but because of you too. A year later, do you feel like you're
Next question.
The reporter never even finished asking the question because Angel Reese answered it in only 2 words. Those 2 words said everything about where the WNBA stands today with Caitlin Clark. And now, that relationship has reached a major turning point. Here's why. Caitlin Clark has completely changed the WNBA. She brought millions of new fans, packed arenas, and record-setting TV ratings. But at the same time, the league failed to take full advantage of that opportunity. Instead of welcoming the Caitlin Clark effect, many people inside the league resisted it. They questioned the excitement, minimized her influence, and even made fun of her supporters. Rather than seeing her success as a blessing, they treated it like a problem. To anyone watching from the outside, it simply didn't make sense.
But the WNBA last year, bless their hearts, finally got a star. And they didn't know that. They couldn't figure it out. Well, we don't want to put too much Caitlin Clark on. Nope, every game. More Caitlin Clark all the time, always. Caitlin Clark is easily the most influential athlete in a team sport since Michael.
The success, the national attention, the headlines, the excitement, the sold-out crowds. It was everything the WNBA had been hoping to achieve for years. They finally had the player, the spotlight, the breakthrough, and the chance to grow the league. Bigger money, higher salaries, and worldwide recognition were finally within reach. The only issue was that Caitlin Clark was leading the way. For many players, that wasn't something to celebrate. It felt like watching their own dreams disappear. They had hoped they would be the group to lift the league together. And perhaps the toughest reality was realizing that fans had always been willing to support women's basketball. They simply came in huge numbers because of Caitlin.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Yes, Diana, they do. Just like people dealing with a loss, many players and media members seem to go through different stages of grief, from denial to anger and everything in between. Soon you'll see how all of this connects because it's unbelievable, no matter how you look at it. The situation has been disappointing, messy, and damaging for the WNBA. But now something has changed. A moment that usually would have meant very little ended up changing everything. The league now understands what's about to happen, and they're rushing to be on the right side of history. Let's look at what took place. But first, if you're ready to see the WNBA finally given to Caitlin, like this video and make sure to subscribe. Now, let's go back for a moment.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
By this stage of last season, Caitlin Clark was already impossible for many people across the WNBA to ignore. She didn't simply enter the league. She completely changed it. Television ratings nearly tripled, NBA arenas filled to capacity, and her jersey sales exploded. Every Indiana Fever game became one of the hottest tickets in sports, with fans waiting for hours and resellers asking playoff-level prices for regular season games.
If we say her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5 points.
The envy started long before Caitlin Clark ever played her first professional game. The attention surrounding her was truly once in a generation. She had broken the all-time NCAA scoring record across both men's and women's basketball. She led Iowa to 2 straight national championship games. Every arena she played in was packed, and her deep three-pointers became her trademark. Then came the WNBA draft. There was never any doubt about who would be selected first. She was the clear number 1 pick and the center of attention. Cameras followed her everywhere. Media coverage exploded, and sponsors lined up to work with her. That's when things became different. The league had seen incredible players before like Aya Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and Breanna Stewart, all proven stars, MVPs, and champions. But none of them arrived with this level of attention. For some people, that was difficult to accept. That was the beginning of the first stage of grief, denial. It went far beyond simple doubt. It became open resistance. Veteran players, media personalities, and even league officials quickly tried to reduce the importance of the moment. The signs of division were already clear before she ever stepped onto the court.
Caitlin's coming. There's more than just that are coming. What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP, Reality is coming.
If Caitlin had entered the league and struggled, or even played at an average level, the veterans would have felt completely justified. They would have proudly said they were right all along. The story would have been simple. Dominating in college is one thing, but the WNBA is a completely different challenge. You can't just step in and outperform the players who spent years building the league. The excitement would have faded, the headlines would have disappeared, and the veterans would have felt proven right. But that never happened. Her debut attracted 2.1 million viewers, making it the most watched WNBA game in more than 20 years. Every game she played brought huge ratings, national TV coverage, sold out arenas, and soaring jersey sales. She didn't just live up to the expectations. She exceeded them. That's when the next stage began, anger.
Last season. Clark, hammer. 3 Sky players coming over. Here's Clark. Her 29 points gets tripped up.
Is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
Once it became obvious that Caitlin's popularity wasn't fading, no matter how much criticism or negativity came from players or the media, the response changed. The battle moved onto the court instead of staying off it. Whether intentional or not, the league started pushing back during games. Opponents played more physically with hard screens, off-ball contact, and unnecessary hits. The referees often let it happen without calling fouls. It quickly became a pattern. Let her take the hits. Let her become frustrated. Let her question whether she truly belonged. If the excitement couldn't be stopped with words, maybe it could be slowed down with physical play. It happened game after game. She looked tired, bruised, and mentally worn down. Still, Caitlin never complained or gave up. She became stronger, both physically and mentally, and after the Olympic break, she returned playing the best basketball of her career. She performed like an MVP, led the Fever to important wins, broke the league's assist record, earned first-team All-WNBA honors, and proved every bit of hype was real. That led to the third stage, bargaining. This is when people try to adjust to a new reality. They search for explanations that help them protect their pride, status, and sense of control. For many players, the hardest thing to lose was their place in the spotlight. Caitlin arrived, changed the league overnight, and suddenly the attention shifted away from longtime stars. So they decided to change the conversation.
It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. So last night we read Time magazine where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover?
The one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
They understood that attacking Caitlin directly would only hurt their own image. So instead, they focused on everything surrounding her. They criticized her supporters and blamed the media coverage. In their view, Caitlin wasn't the issue. Everyone around her was. They claimed she received special treatment and argued that her supporters weren't true WNBA fans. The message became that if someone admired Caitlin Clark, it had to be because of her race. It didn't matter that she led the league in assists as a rookie. It didn't matter that she was bringing record crowds and more attention to women's basketball than ever before. None of those achievements mattered because the conversation had shifted away from her talent and toward accusations of bias.
Caitlin is fantastic, and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA. There are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that.
It's a familiar strategy. Repeat the same claim often enough. Say it loudly enough, and eventually some people begin to believe it without asking questions. Now there are basketball fans who honestly think Caitlin Clark isn't truly talented, and that her success is only the result of good fortune. But anyone expecting that narrative to slow down the Caitlin Clark effect was completely mistaken. Veteran players began choosing to sign with the Indiana Fever one after another. These weren't athletes, simply hoping to stay in the league. They were experienced champions with successful careers. DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, and Sydney Colson all had choices in championship experience, yet they wanted to play in Indiana. It wasn't only because of the roster or the coaching staff. Caitlin Clark played a major role. Not long ago, Media personalities like Cheryl Swoops describe Indiana as a team nobody wanted to join. Diana Taurasi even referred to those old opinions not long ago, but that idea quickly fell apart. Indiana is no longer just another team. It has become the place players want to be. And once that happened, everything changed. The changes started with larger arenas. Teams began moving games to bigger venues simply because Caitlin Clark was coming. It wasn't about league balance, playoff races, or all-star players. It was about her. Franchises that usually played in smaller buildings switched to NBA arenas because the demand was too great to ignore. Whenever Caitlin visited, more seats were needed. Then the television schedule made the impact even clearer. Out of the Indiana Fever's 44 regular season games, 41 are set to air on national television. That isn't just strong exposure, it's complete coverage. Networks weren't taking a chance. They fully committed to one player, believing the Caitlin Clark effect deserved primetime television almost every night. Then came the preseason. Even an exhibition game filled a 15,000-seat arena. It was only preseason with no standings or playoff importance involved. Yet thousands of fans paid hundreds of dollars simply to watch Caitlin play, even during warm-ups. By then, nobody could dismiss the Caitlin Clark effect anymore. It was no longer just excitement or smart promotion. It had become undeniable through numbers, revenue, and continued growth. For many players, the truth became impossible to ignore. Their own organizations were no longer centering everything around them. Instead, they were preparing for Caitlin's arrival. Team promotions were built around the Fever's visits. Ticket sales increased whenever she came to town. Television networks recognized it, sponsors recognized it, and fans certainly recognized it. As sold-out arenas, major marketing campaigns, and the league's changing direction became impossible to ignore, a new feeling slowly took over: acceptance. And after that, the players finally began speaking openly. Has the coverage been flawless? Not at all. There are still unfair moments, double standards, and people who are quicker to criticize than to give praise. But little by little, the conversation has clearly changed. The same media outlets that once questioned everything Caitlin Clark did are now highlighting her leadership, dedication, and influence on the game. Even some of the players who were once doubtful have started giving her genuine respect, not just saying she's talented, but admitting she's changing the sport. That brings us to the moment that truly confirmed it all: Caitlin Clark's homecoming. More than 1.3 million viewers watched the exhibition game on television. It wasn't only about the packed arena or the impressive attendance. It was about what those numbers meant. The audience didn't just lead WNBA preseason viewership. It attracted more viewers than games from other professional leagues. More importantly, Caitlin delivered while everyone was watching. She didn't feel pressure from the spotlight. She embraced it. She understood exactly why the fans had tuned in. With every camera focused on her, she raced up the floor and hit a deep three-pointer from almost the exact spot where she had broken the NCAA scoring record. It wasn't simply another basket. It became a powerful statement. The crowd exploded because the moment was about much more than basketball. It was entertainment, emotion, and perfect timing all coming together. Caitlin knew exactly where she was, understood what the moment represented, and created a memory fans will never forget. Even the Brazilian national team couldn't hide their excitement. After the exhibition game, they didn't just exchange handshakes before leaving court. They surrounded Caitlin with smiles, laughter, and selfies as if they had just met Michael Jordan. To them, that's exactly how important she was. That became the defining image. A sold-out arena, more than 1.3 million television viewers, and opposing players lining up for photos after the final buzzer. In today's world, moments like these shape public opinion as much as statistics do. Everyone had already seen the attendance numbers, the television schedule, the arena changes, the merchandise sales, and the non-stop media attention. But this felt different. This was the point where the remaining doubts disappeared. The idea that the league revolved around someone else could no longer survive. From that moment, everything changed. When the conversation turned to the MVP race, many believed Caitlin deserved to be the favorite. She averaged 19 points and 8 assists last season, then became even better after the All-Star and Olympic breaks. During that stretch, She averaged 12 assists while continuing to improve every game. Now she has stronger teammates around her, more scoring options to pass to, and a complete offseason to prepare. Basketball is always about team success, but Caitlin is a once-in-a-generation talent. No league depends on only one player, yet her impact is impossible to ignore. She has brought tens of millions of new viewers to the WNBA and influenced the entire sports world. Many analysts even argue that she has become the most popular athlete in America. Players, media members, and basketball experts who have been hesitant only weeks earlier suddenly became much more supportive. The reason was simple. After the preseason sellouts, massive television ratings, and excitement she created in every arena, there was no longer any debate. Once the new season begins, everything could come together. Caitlin wasn't spending the offseason enjoying her fame. She was working harder than almost everyone else. While many players were relaxing, she traveled to major events, speaking engagements, NFL owners' meetings, and the Masters, then still arrived at the gym by 8 o'clock the following morning. Every single time. No excuses, no missed workouts, and no signs of slowing down. That level of commitment reminded many people of Kobe Bryant's famous work ethic. Caitlin is now stronger, more prepared, and ready for the demands of professional basketball. Her body is better suited for the league. Her decision-making has improved, and her confidence under pressure continues to grow. She is no longer trying to adjust to the WNBA. She is getting ready to take control of it. As for the critics, some have started praising Caitlin before the story changes completely, while others have chosen silence because the facts speak for themselves. The disappointment of no longer being the center of attention affects everyone differently. Some players express frustration, others stay quiet, and a few, like Sophie Cunningham, accepted the reality from the very beginning.